Okay. Alright, now let's try and put some of these concepts together. This is my very artistic engineering. This is my conceptual drawing. Alright, the pitching motion is analogous, I don't know if that's spelled right, to a Ferris wheel. I didn't do a spell check on this. To a Ferris wheel on a merry-go-round on a flatbed truck. There are three planes of motion that our body is active in as it throws a baseball. We have, if I'm throwing to Ron, he's the catcher, I have a linear component, and the linear component is based in my center of gravity. And the center of gravity is just above my belly button, a little bit above my belly button. When we talk about pitchers throwing across their body, or if we're using some kind of device like a 2x4, 2x8, or how many of you guys, any of you guys use a 2x4 drill for your pitchers? Okay. Anybody use anything else like a 2x8 or 2x6 or anything like that? I know Ron uses a 2x right foot. I use just a plain old 2x8 when I work with players. And the reason for that is I'm not working on balance. I'm not a balance freak, and you'll understand a little bit, or I'll explain a little bit about that later on. But what that 2x4 does do is a lot of pitchers will let their center of gravity drift. Center of gravity meaning the motion of their belly, where the weight is just to concentrate. In other words, a pitcher who throws across his body, and I'll direct it this way, hopefully you can see a little bit better. A pitcher who throws across his body will let his center of gravity move this way, as opposed to letting his center of gravity move this way. Now we can still throw closed by keeping our center of gravity straight. Now, as a pitcher who goes straight and lands closed, that's not the same thing as letting my center of gravity go off this way and throwing. That's throwing across your body. Letting your center of gravity go. Number of pitchers do throw across their bodies slightly, but it's because they still let their center of gravity move forward. That's the flatbed. That's the flatbed moving toward home plate. The home plate's down here. Now, on top of that flatbed is our merry-go-round. The merry-go-round is this rotation in the horizontal plane. There's three planes of motion. There's the linear translation to the plate. There's horizontal, rotating parallel in this plane. And then the third motion is the Ferris wheel. This. All three of those work together. That's how we develop maximum efficiency of throwing, is getting all three of those motions to work together. Next, please. Our center of mass moves out, our Ferris wheel, our merry-go-round starts, and then the Ferris wheel picks up. And that's the ball heading off to the plate. Next one, please. Alright, here's a good example of our Ferris wheel merry-go-round in true life. And I'll let you look at it. You can see he's heading, this is Roger Clemens, by the way, another good old Texas boy. He's heading, his center of mass is moving in a straight line. His belly, if I took his belly button and measured where he's going in a straight line. His hips rotate, and then he Ferris wheels. Three components. Now, the important thing to understand here is that linear, I cannot create any whipping motion with linear. Linear is linear. Cannot create any whipping motion with it. Does everybody understand? There's no loop. Where's my loop? My center of mass is moving in a straight line. I can't do anything else with it. So my whipping action, if I'm going to get it, has to come from one or two places, or to feed my arm. What turns out is that the horizontal rotation is not a whipping action. It's just a kinetic chain. We saw how the kinetic chain worked. You pull or you rotate here, you then connect up here. There's no lever. There's not really any effective levers in there. They're basically just hooking up parts and connecting them. Where the whoop comes in the body is here. Is here. And what's important to understand about that, and I'll show you in a minute another one of your plays. You see this arch in the back? It's not clear here, but I have some other clips where it'll be much clearer. This arch in the back is huge, because that is, remember, what does a whip have to have in order to crack properly? A loop. What is the arch in the back? A loop. That's why the loop in the back is, the arch is so important. That's why Scotty Kazmir, who gives up his hips early, what I consider, has a tremendous arch in his back. That's the reason why he can throw 95 miles an hour. The other reason why he throws 95 miles an hour is he's a lefty who throws like a righty. And I'll talk about that in a little. Most lefties don't know how to throw a baseball. Okay.
You got a couple left.
Oh, yeah. Next one, Reese. All right. Here's what I did was I synced the two of these together, so that the truck represents Clemens moving linear, and then the merry-go-round starts to kick in, and then the Ferris wheel. Okay. Some people have found this effective in terms of understanding. What it does is it highlights the motions and activities that are going on in the body that are very important for building up power and momentum to throw a baseball. One other important point, a whip, the kinetic chain works on the principle of connecting muscles and contracting muscles. The whip is a passive mechanism. A whip works because you get momentum going, and then you convert it through these levers from a high mass, low speed to a small mass, high speed. In other words, I've got this big, with Clemens, he's got a big ass, okay? I've got this big, massive, slow-moving piece down here, and I'm trying to get it so that I can get something into it. I'll run the calculations tonight, and I'll show it to you, but if Clemens could convert all the momentum he has in his body to velocity, I think the number comes out to he could throw the baseball 250 miles an hour. That's what momentum does. But we don't have that kind of efficiency. But momentum plays a huge role in throwing a baseball. And using these, this is why, if we go back, I won't show it now, if we go back to the picture on the right, or the one in black, which, yeah, the right, on the left, up on my left. Did you see what he was doing? He was cracking the whip. He was cracking this whip. The way I also explain it, and I don't have a good picture of it right now, is everybody know what an old-fashioned buggy whip looks like? We've got that handle, flexible handle with a little whippy end on it. Well, how do you crack a buggy whip? You flex the hand, you bow the handle one way, and then the handle whips the loop in the string and snaps it. Well, this is the handle of the buggy whip.
Like the fly rod.
Fly rod, same thing, fly rod. This is the line of the fly rod, this is the whip itself. This to this is a very important mechanism for throwing a baseball. Next, please.